Draft week is here. Not only is the NFL taking centre stage for 3 days starting next Thursday night, but WWE has also decided to counter-program and book night one of the WWE draft on this Friday SmackDown. Some may question the sense, but it makes perfect sense. For the NFL draft and NBA playoffs competition, WWE needed something strong for SmackDown to feel like a bigger deal. Triple H has made lofty promises for the draft this year. And hopefully we'll get some interesting new rules for the draft and some interesting new changes. So we picked out 3 superstars who should change brands, starting off with Seth Rollins. While we don't know yet which brand has the first pick and which superstars will be made available when that pick is made, it's going to be hard to imagine that Fox is going to be willing to part with its golden goose. Roman Reigns will and should be the overall number 1 roster pick and stay at SmackDown, presumably with the rest of the bloodline. Not that it matters a whole lot, considering it's been well established that he goes wherever he pleases. This pick is more about securing a tribal chief at home if and when he drops the titles. Your guess on who will ultimately be the one to dethrone Reigns is as good as mine. It's still surprising that Cody Wheeler doesn't win, but Seth Rollins could very well be the answer. He's still that dude. In-ring, mic, character, all of it. He's been as good as ever. It's not, if not better. He's also more over the crowd than he has been in the last 5 years. But if his creative direction in the weeks since WrestleMania, WWE doesn't know what to do with him. They're putting him to do jobs over the last few years, putting over the likes of Kevin Owens, Cesaro, Austin Theory, Edge, Cody Rhodes. Those two on a number of occasions. Once again, this year he was overlooked at the main event and booked into programming with Logan Paul, which was, a good match, good story and all of that. But thankfully he got the win this time around. But you can't help but find wanting Seth Rollins to do a bit more, and you can understand his reported frustrations. He dipped his toes back into US title picture for a while, but even with Triple H making an effort to elevate that championship, he feels bigger than that and wants to be and should be booked like a top guy, which is why a move to SmackDown needs to happen. WWE currently has a vacancy of a top position on Babyface on Friday night, and there's nobody better than him to fill it. Drew and Bray are on a hiatus at the moment, and Sammy's in the tag team division. Cody very well drafted to SmackDown, but he's currently dealing with the Beast on Monday Night Raw. Those rematches may still be several months away. The Tribal Chief needs challenges in the meantime, and while the cupboard isn't entirely bare, no potential challenger has a bigger claim to the throne as Seth Rollins. Paul Heyman can throw down Murder's Row as superstars that Reigns has smashed over the course of his record-breaking title run, but you won't find Rollins anywhere near that. It's been well over a year since Rollins was screwed out of the championship at the Royal Rumble, and there's no bigger fight, save for Cody Rhodes, that WWE could put on at Night of Champions. Even if Seth is not a guy WWE has penciled in to beat Roman, he deserves a spot, and from Roman's perspective, it would be great to have Rollins as his final challenger before reaching 1,000 days. The bottom line for Rollins is he needs a new direction, a new push, and to be on a separate show from Cody to take the shine as the top babyface. If Triple H wants to change the game, sending Seth to the blue brand is definitely a move to make. Next up is moving Kaden, Carter and Katana Chance to the main roster into Raw. Don't look now, but the WWE creative team is slowly starting to build the women's tag team division. Yes, there's a bit of a herd-turning statement, but because whether it's due to a lack of interest or effort on the creative front, this has been a particular division that's had little going in its favour since its inception, really. Despite only being a team for the last several weeks, Raquel and Liv work well with each other and continue to get better every week. You can tell they're enjoying their time together, which comes across well on screen, and they're putting in the work behind the scenes to make themselves a legit team in the eyes of the audience. They'll defend their newly won championships on multiple occasions, as we saw on the past Friday SmackDown. There's another duo that has real promise, even if the chances are slim. Green's new Karen persona, Deville has always been great, but realistically they're not long-term holders. And Jay kind of begs the question who would be, and I think these two would be. We saw the great run they had with the NXT Women's Championship, and assuming the two stay together for longer than a few months, they could real build something up. With the likes of Damage Control, Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler also kind of coming on the horizon once they're out there as storylines. Now is the time for WWE to really show they're invested, these two would be the perfect keep up. Two women who took completely different paths to WWE, one a graduate of 3D Academy and the other a traveller of the independent circuit, a college gymnast who jumped from Ninja Warrior to the Performance Center. An odd pairing at first, but they moulded themselves into an honest goodness toe-ins tag team, and time being the operative word. They've been in NXT for a while now, teaming together, but there's no argument that they should have made a step in 2022. But, as they say, better late than never. Now is definitely the time. Since dropping the titles, they've been used sparingly on television. Their last appearance came on Level Up. That kind of sums it up. They've kind of just been in a holding pattern, but they can work as faces as heels and could be a really good team to put onto the main roster and potentially even challenge for the titles. And finally, the way should be drafted to SmackDown. WWE is a faction heavy these days, maybe, but there's room for one more. The way we're all able to stand and say a proper goodbye for NXT Stand and Deliver, but their curtain call on the stage following Gargano's unsanctioned victory over Grace Muller felt like it should have been the final chapter for all parties involved, including Indy Hartwell. Yes, seeing Dexter carry Indy up the ladder to win her first women's championship was an emotional spot. Seriously though, was it the right decision, or maybe was it the wrong decision? Could we have had Indy on the main roster with a young crop of Roxanne Perez, Cora Jade, Tiffany Stratton kind of carrying the women's division? Hartwell winning the goal was a fantastic accomplishment and one that was well deserved, but anything left for her in NXT kind of feels like a side quest at this point. She beat the game already, she finished her story, and yeah, I'd love to see her on the main roster with these two, and yeah, being with Dexter Lumis only helps get good reactions. She's impressed at main event or tapings. Candice and Indy could maybe form a tag team division, build into depth like we talked about earlier with Kaden and Katana, and yeah, that could be really useful for that division. And yeah, it's unclear how long Gargano will be out of action, but as soon as he's ready to go, I kind of feel like him and Dexter Lumis have really been struggling to kind of find their place since they returned. So having them together could be a really good move as well. So yeah, in general, I just think it makes more sense. Adds more roster, adds more depth to it, and a team that's really over in NXT. I'm sure that would translate to the main roster as well. But anyway, guys, that's it for you. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, those lots of comments down below. If you want to know daily football news and subscribe to the channel, it's going to be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.